welcome to the Fantasy Rewind podcast. I'm your co-host, Dylan Stoll, and I'm joined as always by my friend, Michael Whifford.
Hey!
And today, we are going to be diving in and talking about the Wheel of Time Season 2 trailer that just dropped this past week here. I know, I'm pretty excited to talk about this. Mike, how are you feeling?
Let's get into it, man.
All right, but before we do, I'm going to give out the typical reminders here of if you want to get in contact with the show. You could get at us on Instagram, which is at Fantasy Rewind Pod. On Twitter, or X as it's called now, we are at Fantasy Rewind. And then you could just send us an email if you'd like as well, which is fantasyrewindpod@gmail.com. All right, without any further delay, let's dive into the rewind.
Fantasy Rewind. All right, Dylan. Overall thoughts on the trailer. What are you thinking? What are you feeling?
I'm pumped. To be honest,
Yeah.
It looked freaking awesome. I'm as much as we crap on season 1 of Wheel of Time, this trailer looks so much better in so many ways, and I'm totally hyped.
Yeah, I think just how they're showing the power is so cool. Love it.
Yes.
Love the weaves. I think that's so great. Man. And I mean, we're going to jump in here and talk about a lot of the things that stood out to us from it, but visually, it's just
Visually, it's stunning. It's absolutely stunning, and I got goosebumps, and I feel like I'm falling for a trap again. I feel like Admiral Akbar over here, just, it's a trap! And I know I'm going to fall for it still, because I am excited.
Yeah, but that's okay. I mean, hopefully it seems like let's hop into what we noticed from the trailer.
Yeah.
Story-wise, it seems like they're definitely doing the whole following Rand to Tyr thing.
Yep.
Now, with Perrin obviously in chase mode, and Moiraine and Lan as well. Don't know if they're together or not. Aviendha made an appearance in this trailer as well. I think what's intriguing, though, is that Rand does go to Tar Valon.
It does look like he goes to Tar Valon. I refuse to call it Tar Valon. Yeah. But yes, he did. It at least looked like he was in Tar Valon. The other thing I want to keep in mind, though, is that in season 1, we saw that Moiraine and the Amyrlin Seat Swan had a little dream ter'angreal they could use to go and visit each other. So I'm wondering if Rand is actually in Tar Valon or if he is using Moraine's dream ter'angreal.
That is the good thing to remember too, especially with the series. And also, some of the scenes could be from the accepted tests with not necessarily that one, but with Nynaeve and Egwene, because I'm assuming by the end of the season she'll probably have done it too. Because we also saw, I don't know if you noticed her, we did also see Elaine as well.
Yep, we saw Elaine. I noticed Elaine. We saw some more Liandrin, and Liandrin slinking around, being the dark friend that she is. And the other thing I want to point out too, you said that we saw Rand going to Tyr, and he may be going to Tyr. But we forget he might also be going to the area where he saw the Seanchan.
The Falmouth Plain.
Falma, yeah.
Falma, yes.
But I wonder though,
glad you brought that up,
if they're going to combine the two. Because we know they're going to be doing some shortened stuff, so I don't know if Falma and Tyr are going to be merged as far as where events take place. But it looks like, and I might be wrong, but it looks like we're going to be getting the Two Rock sword fight. So I'm excited.
And that looked. I was when they show the quick scene where he's pulling out the sword. I'm like, yes! That's going to be so cool.
Yes.
So I'm excited. I'm also interested to see how they're going to show Rand's training more with it.
Yeah, it looked
because
I mean,
he got trained a little bit, but not sword master level.
No. I wonder if what will happen is they'll have him talking more with Lews Therin inside and start harnessing some that Lews Therin training or that he had there to master the power. Because I know we also did see a certain someone getting close and cuddly with Rand here. So do we want to mention that at all?
Selene?
Yeah,
we
have
Selene?
Lady Selene, who
aka Lanfear,
aka Lanfear, yes,
who you were saying you believe is that woman who was drenched in blood.
I do.
In the trailer.
I believe that Lanfear is like the witch who like you see kind of like rising up, drenched in blood, like coming out of the boar or whatever. I know we're kind of jumping all over the place here, but I want to go back.
But there was just so much, yeah.
I want to go back to the start of the trailer.
Yes.
Where Moiraine says, "We didn't defeat the Dark One, we released him."
Yeah. And I think that's intriguing because they didn't technically release the Dark One, but they released one of the Chosen, Shamael, yes. And I think it's interesting because if you saw, he did make an appearance a couple times in the trailer. Yes. There was one point where he just has the Dark One's power kind of wrapping around him. And you could tell it was different because of the coloring.
Right.
And then the Seanchan, he was sitting he was standing next to Rock.
I don't think
and I thought that was so neat because I'm like, oh, it's so intriguing. He's pulling strings.
Yeah.
And they're showing that. And I think that's really cool.
I think it makes a lot more sense, like, if Ishamael is, like, pulling the strings of the Seanchan about why the Seanchan have Rand captured. Because it looks like they are the people that have Rand strapped to that wheel. At least that was one of my guesses, is that they were the people that did
Or
that.
It's a dream.
Or it's a dream. Probably it's a dream.
Yeah. I mean, that's the fun thing about the Wheel of Time is that there's so many dream sequences, and they're so vivid. So a lot of this could be from a dream. I think it's intriguing, though, that he's there because, remember, in the books, Rand does fight him above the skies in Falma.
Yeah.
So they could be setting up for that.
And I'm excited to see that, too, because I really want to see how that scene plays out in live action, just because of how fantastical it sounds in the books.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it absolutely is very fantastical.
But one thing as well is I think this all but confirms that Gaul is not going to be in the series, at least to the same extent. And it seemed to me that Aviendha was going to be somewhat taking his place. Yeah.
Which, honestly, that's not a huge loss in terms of, like, when we think about having to cut characters and cut a lot of the, not fluff in the books, but cut as much down as possible to turn this into
like a streamlined version.
Yeah, a streamlined version. Like, he is someone that could go on the chopping block and it's not the worst. You could merge him with Aviendha and get the similar results.
Yeah, I guess I'm just like thinking about like things that happened down the road, like during the last battle, about the role Gaul plays with helping Perrin. But I do feel like that there is some room for alteration within that, because that is unfortunately, one of the weaker parts of the last battle is Perrin. But
agreed.
That's getting way ahead of ourselves.
Now, speaking of Perrin, though, I do think his wolf brotherness is going to be definitely highlighted in this season and hopefully brought to the forefront in a lot of ways.
Agreed.
Since they dedicated a good chunk of the trailer to it. Like, at least when we think about it, because they didn't even they showed Matt for one hot second standing there looking at the dagger.
Well, showed him again with like a spear in his hand, like, coming down, like stabbing something.
Okay. I didn't notice it. That slipped me, but yeah, they didn't really highlight him at all. So I thought that was interesting, and I think that shows too, probably there's going to be more focus on Perrin, Rand, Moiraine, and also the girls in the towers storyline before they end up at Falma. Because I think that we saw that.
We saw a little bit of that.
Can we just also take a moment and just... The Seanchan, while not quite what I pictured in my head, love that they've got, like, the BDSM gear. Love that they have that, and you saw that they had their items, and they were using the power very viciously.
Oh, yeah. They were straight up attacking and murdering people with that power.
Yeah.
Which is what they should be doing. Because the Seanchan use people who have access to the One Power as slaves, as warrior slaves. And the Seanchan are very problematic when we think about them in that regard. But at the same time, the Seanchan, they are they're so interesting because of how they operate, but they were not what I was picturing. What we're getting is not what I was picturing when I was thinking about the Seanchan in the books. However, as we see them more and more, I feel like I'm going to start to be able to accept it and everything with them. The one thing I really want to see with the Seanchan, though, is if they try to do a Seanchan accent, or if they just have people talk normal, because it sounds like they're going to have folks talk normal.
Which, honestly, I don't mind. I was, Alexis and I watched 65 Million or whatever with Adam Driver. It's the movie where it's almost like kind of Planet of the Apes except dinosaurs.
Sure.
But in that movie, they have a little girl be the only other survivor except for Adam Driver, and they're trying to get to escape pod so they can leave. She can't speak the same language as him. And I was like, after the movie, I looked at Alexis, I was like, I think honestly that hurt the movie in a lot of ways, not being able for them to have dialogue and talk the same language. It was pointless. It didn't drive the plot further in any way, shape, or form. Her not being able to, it was just an extra hurdle that didn't help anything. It didn't make it any more interesting. It actually would have been better if they could have talked, because then we could have gotten more of each of their stories through their conversation.
See, I almost disagree, though, with you about Seanchan and their accent, because they do speak the same language, so they're understood. Just the way that they talk, like the long, slow, drawn-out conversational language that they use there, it's almost an identity for them. Like, people can tell you're Seanchan because of this. And so, like, having that be a part of who they are and being stripped away, I feel like, while it will make it more watchable, because it could be a little cringe, like if the accent sucked and they just tried to use it anyway, I think that it will hurt things a little bit, unless they have it so that other characters can tell the difference and identify them as Seanchan, but we, the audience, just hear normal conversational points.
I don't know how they're going to do that. Yeah. But my point was just kind of like you sort of had said it. It really doesn't, outside of that one nuance, being able to tell they're different because of the sound, or their accent. Outside of that, it doesn't really move the plot forward in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, true.
So, and also too, I would worry that trying to create an accent that doesn't really exist in the real world might be problematic.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
Also, too, if they took any pre-existing accents that are already in the world, that would also be problematic, because then you're pushing a possible group of people.
Yeah, to represent the slave race, basically. Yeah, I totally get that. Totally get that.
That's why I was like, yeah.
I mean, Robert Jordan did say they had a Texas accent, so that could have been funny, but I would not have enjoyed that in my fantasy show. But talking about Matt really quick as well, if we think back to The Great Hunt, which is the book that this season is theoretically based on, Matt wasn't a huge part of that. A big part of The Great Hunt for Matt was him being sickly dealing with the dagger withdrawal.
And it seems like that they're going to go with that, which is good. I just hope that by the end he does kind of make his way into meet with at least Perrin, because Rand doesn't come back into the group until
after book 3,
Dragon Reborn.
Yeah, the end of book 3.
Yeah, so I kind of hope they do keep that.
That's
and
wrong.
He doesn't. It seems
Rand does come back in the group at the very end of book 2 after the fight at Falma, where Min kind of nurses him and then reintroduces him into the group at the start of book 3, but then he leaves right at the start of book 3. So.
Because he's I'm gonna make the prophecies happen, and he goes to Tyr. That's right. Yeah. Yes.
So
and they could do that.
Talking really quick about Moiraine, it seems like her not having her power, her being stilled, if you will, is going to linger, and I don't see her getting her powers back.
Until the end of the season, maybe.
I was gonna say this season. I don't know if she'll get her powers back this season.
I think she will by the end.
Yeah.
Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if, when Rand fights Ishamael,
yeah. When he defeats him, it unlocks Moraine's power again.
It removes the shield. Because I'm thinking it's just a shield.
Okay. I'm hoping it's a shield, because if she was stilled by it, that'd be really bad.
Because, I mean, if she is shielded, it would feel the same, pretty much the same, right?
Yeah. Like if it's a tied off shield.
Especially since she can't,
can't see the weaves.
She can't feel,
and maybe,
or see, she can't.
Maybe Rand will be able to eliminate the shield from her if it is indeed a shield, unless it was done with a true power.
Because you saw, he went, it seems like, the reason I keep saying I think he went Tar-Valon is because, one, his audience with
Swan?
Swan Shanche, and then he was also talking to, not Mazrim Time, who's the other? Logain, yes. I want to be able to control it, asking him. And so I'll be intrigued what part Logain makes. And it makes more sense, too, that Rand did do that. Because he was struggling to try to control it in the books. And he was like, I need someone to teach me. And, eventually we know he gets a teacher. If he could have tapped into, like, Logain earlier on.
I mean, you got to remember, though, at this point, Logain is a shell of his former self, has been stilled, or has been gentled, rather. And he has no will to live up until events later transpire. But I don't know. I also I wasn't the biggest fan of Rand choking Moiraine and slamming her against the wall.
Again, could be a dream. Or it could be something else, Yeah. I hesitate to get in on some of the like that scene specifically, because I'm like, I feel like there's something context, and I feel like there could be something missing. Like that could be Lanfear like doing something to Moiraine. You're not going to control him anymore. I am. Mm-hmm. Something like that. And we could be missing all that. Or it could even be like Liandrin doing something. There's just so much we don't know.
So much we don't know.
Which is great. But, and I mean, I'm sitting here smiling because I'm like excited because I'm like, oh, I want to figure it out. And then halfway through, when we're doing these episodes, I'll probably be like, they did this. I can't believe they did this.
Yes. Right now, let's enjoy like the high of being excited about season 2 of Wheel of Time. I think just to kind of put a bow on it here, I think all in all, there was a lot of really promising things that we saw in the trailer. I know I got hyped. The music in the background, not what I would have chosen myself.
Oh, I was like, oh, I'm vibing.
It's incredibly modern, and that's the only issue I take with it. Is just because I kind of like my high fantasy, which I consider this to be
real time,
pretty high fantasy, to have kind of old timey instrumentalist like,
or like
music. Exactly. Give me like my classic fantasy like humming and like high points that you get from like Lord of the Rings with Peter Jackson and everything. But getting back to On Point here, even though it's not the song I would have chosen, I thought it was really good because I thought it did blend with the style
really well.
And everything quite well. Mm-hmm. Again, even though I wouldn't have gone as modern if I was going to pick. But yeah, all in all,
I already said I didn't mind.
I know. All in all, I'm quite excited. I'm happy to feel excited about this because I was not so excited after we watched season 1 about season 2 and what that could look like. Yeah. But
need to rewatch season 1.
We do. We will. We will be masochists and torture ourselves. But I sincerely hope, as much of an issue as I had with season 1, that Rafi and everyone involved with Amazon are able to turn this around and just produce quality Wheel of Time television, because if they do, we'll all be happy and we'll all be better for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited, and I'm really happy, or really interested to see how they incorporate some of the new characters, what characters they may leave out, whether we have issue with them. Like I was telling you when we were watching the trailer, I think that they're bringing in Elias, the other wolf brother, there's two.
The elder wolf brother.
Yeah, the elder wolf brother, who teaches Perrin a lot. I think they're bringing him in a way that may make sense. Like, he's going to be leading the party with Perrin there and possibly teach him, and then maybe he'll leave partway through, and then Perrin will lead them the rest of the way. Mm-hmm. So I'll be interested to see, because honestly, it would make a lot of sense for Elias to take that position and remove Kieran. Because Kieran doesn't really do much after this outside of escort. Some other character like escort Nynaeve and them later on.
Yeah,
and they could replace him with Kieran.
No, that's not.
And it
Kieran
would still be
that does that.
Sorry, they could replace. Yeah. Oh gosh.
There's so many characters in Wheel of Time.
I know. But they could replace, honestly, that character, the Huron type character, which is...
With Elias?
There's another one. With Elias.
That'd be so out of Elias's character to do that. But I know what you're saying.
Maybe.
Like, they could condense if they really needed to. But I feel like you said we were on the right track there, because I think that Huron, even if he has his fans, is a non-essential character. He's in The Great Hunt. He's in I forget which book it is, but when he leads the Borderlanders down to meet Rand, and then he dies in the last battle. And those are the only 3 times we see Huron. Non-essential character, very minor mentions in those last 2 appearances. I mean, there's just going to be one less person calling Rand Lord in this season, if that's what it comes down to.
Which isn't a terrible thing.
Yeah. All right. Anything else you want to get in, Mike, before we get out of here?
No, I'm excited for September and watching this. I'm going to be interested, didn't read in or look up anything yet, but how they release the episodes, if they're going to do 1 a week.
I hope it's 1 a week.
Or if they're going to start with maybe 1 or 2 episodes and then do 1 a week, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I assume they'll do 1 a week because that's what they did with the first season, really, and that's what they did with Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, Rings of Power. All right. Well, with all of that being said, we are pumped to be getting what looks like entertaining, at least, Wheel of Time television. Super excited to see where this leads. But this is going to be 2 Nerds signing off. See ya.
See ya.
The wheel weaves as the wheel wills.